Hey everyone, welcome back to Simply English, the podcast that helps you speak more clearly and confidently. Today we have a very special guest. Welcome back, Adam.
Thanks so much, Rose. It's great to be here again. And hello to all our listeners.
Today we're going to tackle something that seems simple but causes lots of confusion. Articles in English. A, an, and the.
These tiny words carry a lot of meaning.
So, Adam, let's jump right in. Can you start?
Absolutely. So English uses three main articles, a, an, and the. These small but powerful words come before nouns to show whether we're talking about something specific or general. Mastering how to use them takes practice, but once you understand the basic rules, they become second nature. Let's begin with a and an.
Don't forget to give us simple examples.
You're absolutely right, Rose. All right, let's get started and see when to use a and when to use an. It's easier than you think. Rule number 1, we use a before singular countable nouns that start with a consonant sound.
Right, so you would say, he is a teacher. She bought a car. I saw a bear.
Exactly. Even though a is only one letter, it tells us that we're talking about one general thing, not something specific. Now, we use an before singular countable nouns that start with vowel sounds, like a, I, or ew.
So we'd say, he is an actor. She received an invitation. I saw an eagle. Wait, Adam. When you say sounds, do you mean the actual letters?
Great question, Rose. Actually, no. I mean the sound the word starts with, not the letter itself. For example, the word university starts with the letter U, which is a vowel, but it sounds like it begins with a Y, university. So we say a university, not an university. It's all about pronunciation, what you hear, not just what you see.
I understand.
The following rule is simple but often overlooked. A and an mean one, so don't use them with plural nouns.
Right, so I saw a bears. That's incorrect. I saw bears. That's the correct version.
If there's an adjective or a phrase before the noun, you still base your choice of a or an on the first sound of that adjective.
Let's hear a few. He is an excellent teacher. I saw a really beautiful eagle.
Exactly. It's the first sound after the article that matters, not whether the noun itself starts with a vowel or consonant. Some words start with vowel letters but sound like consonants, so we use a. A university sounds like university. A euro. A one, pronounced one. A U-turn sounds like U-turn.
So it's not about the spelling, it's all about how the word sounds.
Some words start with consonant letters but sound like vowels, so we use an. An hour, the H is silent. An F sounds like F. An 8-year-old.
These are great examples and super useful for learners who are confused when the spelling doesn't match the rule.
To wrap it up, remember, use a with consonant sounds, use an with vowel sounds, and always focus on sound, not just the spelling.
Perfect. So, Adam, when it comes to a, an, and the, what do our listeners need to know?
Let's start with a tricky one. Some words like herb and hospital can be complicated because of different English accents. In American English, the H in herb is often silent, so Americans say an herb. But in many British accents, the H is pronounced, so they say a herb. Similarly, in some British accents, the H in hospital is silent, so it becomes an hospital.
Interesting. So it really depends on the accent, right?
Exactly. And that's something learners should be aware of, especially when traveling or interacting with native speakers from different regions.
Now, Adam, what about uncountable nouns? I know that sometimes and an don't apply to them. Can you explain?
Great question, Rose. In English, some nouns are uncountable, meaning we can't count them individually. Words like information, air, advice, salt, and fun are uncountable. And guess what? You can't use a or an with them.
Ah, okay. So instead of saying she gave a good advice, we would say,
Right, you'd say, she gave good advice. No article needed.
let's move on to another point.
Okay, a and an are used when we're talking about something in general or something new to the listener. They're not specific. For example, I need a phone. That could be any phone, not a particular one.
So it's more about any, not a specific phone.
Exactly. Same goes for Mark wants a bicycle. It's any bicycle, not a specific one.
Okay, so we've covered indefinite articles, but when do we use the?
Great follow-up, Rose. The is called the definite article because we use it to talk about something specific that both the speaker and listener know about. For example, I have a cat. The cat is black. We're referring to that specific cat.
Got it. So the is used when something has been previously mentioned or when it's unique, like the moon. We all know which one that is.
Exactly. And the can be used with both singular and plural nouns, like I saw the bear, or I saw the bears in Yellowstone National Park.
Now, the is also used when there's an identifying phrase or clause, right?
Yes, that's right. If we're talking about something specific and we give more details, we use the. For example, can you give me the book on the table? The phrase on the table tells us which book we're talking about.
So the helps us know exactly which one. Like when you say, did you read the book I gave you? It's a specific book they know about.
Exactly. It's all about giving the listener enough information to know exactly which thing you mean.
I also remember hearing that and an can be used like per, right?
Yes, this is a cool trick. We use a or an when talking about rates or measurements. For example, apples currently cost $1.30 a pound. It's like saying per.
That's handy. Or cheetahs can run 60 miles an hour.
Exactly. And another example would be you want $150 a person for the tour.
Sounds great. So, Adam, when exactly do we use the, and how is it different from a and n?
Great starting point. We use the with nouns that are modified by ranking or ordering expressions. This includes words like the first, the second, the last, the next, the previous, and even the penultimate.
Okay, so if we're talking about the first day of a conference, we would say,
Exactly. This is the 5th day of our conference. You can also say, I'll pay the next time we have dinner. We're talking about something specific that's ordered or ranked.
ah, I see. Let's move on to another case.
Yes, exactly. The is used with superlatives to talk about the highest degree of something. For example, this is the best day ever, or that is the most expensive hotel room I have ever heard of.
So, superlatives refer to the one that stands out the most.
Right, and also note that comparative forms, like bigger, better, more, can be used with both a and an, depending on the situation.
Could you give an example of the being used with comparatives?
Sure, when comparing only two things, we use the with the comparative form. For example, Jesse and Shauna are both smart, but I think Shauna is the smarter of the two.
Now, what about when we're dealing with uncountable or plural nouns?
Good question. You don't use articles with uncountable nouns or plural countable nouns when you're speaking generally. For example, water is an important resource would be wrong. You don't need an article with water because it's uncountable.
Got it. So the correct sentence would be water is important.
Now, this is a fun one. English speakers often use the plus a singular noun when talking about or making generalizations about certain topics. This includes things like musical instruments, animals, inventions, currencies, and even body parts.
So if I say, I play the piano, or the dolphin is a very intelligent animal, that's correct?
Exactly. These kinds of generalizations use the to give the noun a more conceptual or abstract meaning. Like, we're not just talking about a piano, we're talking about the idea of piano as an instrument, or the dolphin as a species.
All right, let's move on to the next point.
Okay, great. A few and a little mean some, and they express the idea that you have more than expected. For example, he always carries a few dollars for emergencies.
Do you mean we can use few and little without a?
Yes, when we don't use a with few or little, it means we have less than expected. For example, sadly, he has few people in his life.
All right, let's move on to the next case.
Okay, the is also used with family names when referring to the family as a group. For example, we say, the Robinsons are going on vacation, or the Jacksons live next door.
All right, move on to a useful rule.
We use the when referring to groups of people, particularly with adjectives like the blind, the elderly, the rich, or the French.
So if I want to talk about elderly people, I'd say the elderly, right?
Exactly. For example, the organization helps the elderly. It's referring to the group of elderly people in general.
Got it. And we use the when talking about nationalities or ethnic groups, too. So if I want to refer to French people, I would say the French.
Yes, that's right. But keep in mind, when we're talking about nationalities that end in ans, like Americans, or Mexicans, or Hawaiians, we usually don't use the.
Ah, so Americans or Germans don't take the.
Exactly. For example, we say, Americans watch a lot of TV, and not the Americans. But for languages, we don't use the either. I like French is correct, but I like the French refers to the people.
Let's move on to countries. I know there are some rules about using the with country names. What's the deal with that?
Great question. We don't use the with most countries, unless the name includes words like states, kingdom, republic, or emirates. For example, I love Italy, and John used to live in Japan.
So the United States gets the, but Italy doesn't.
Exactly. Same with states, provinces, or cities unless the is part of the name, like the Northwest Territories. But we don't say the California or the Paris.
I also know the is used with geographic features and landmarks, like mountains, oceans, or famous structures. Can you give us a couple of examples?
Sure, we use the with natural features like the Himalayas, the Amazon River, or the Sahara Desert. We also use it with landmarks and famous places like the Great Wall of China or the Mona Lisa.
So the is used for famous places and things that are unique, like the Eiffel Tower or the moon.
Exactly. And don't forget about the sun and the earth. They're so special that we treat them like the only ones in the world.
Now, what about some nouns where we don't use articles at all? I know there are a lot of exceptions here.
Yes, definitely. We generally don't use articles with individual lakes, islands, beaches, waterfalls, mountains, or parks unless they are part of a proper name. For example, we went hiking in King Canyon, but we wouldn't say the King Canyon.
So no article for Notre Dame Cathedral or Ladakh either.
Right. But remember, if we use the in the pattern the something of something, we add the article. For example, the University of Colorado or the Temple of Ranakpur.
Let's talk about time. I've always heard that we use the with certain time expressions. Can you explain when?
Of course, we use the with specific time phrases like in the morning, in the afternoon, during the night, or the day before yesterday. So we'll meet in the afternoon. or there was an earthquake during the night.
And what about when we don't use articles with time?
Good point. For general time expressions, we don't use articles. For example, we meet at noon, or I'll see you tomorrow.
Wow, what a great session today, Adam. Thanks so much for breaking down the rules for an, and the. I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot.
Thanks for having me, Rose. Always a pleasure to help with grammar.
And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in today. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss any future episodes. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like a PDF exercise with practice questions on an, and the, just leave a comment below or reach out to us on social media. We'll be happy to send it your way. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. And remember, keep practicing your English every day. See you next time.